federal government has disbanded the Secretariat of the Advertising Standard Panel due to its endorsement of its billboards accused of attempting to manipulate the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal with the slogan, "All Eyes on the Judiciary."
The Director General of the Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria, Dr. Olalekan Fadolapo, conveyed the dissolution of the panel through a statement issued on Tuesday. The ASP, a statutory panel within the council, is tasked with ensuring that advertisements adhere with the prevailing laws of the Federation and Code of Ethics of Advertising Professionals.
The federal government has disbanded the Secretariat of the Advertising Standard Panel due to its endorsement of billboards accused of attempting to manipulate the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. That's the update that we have here. We're now joined this morning by the PDP spokesperson, Demola Olarinwaju. He'll be joining us to talk about this in depth. Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us again. It seems that you might be muted, so we'd like you to please unmute your device and join us.
Okay, good morning.
Right.
I'm not the spokesperson of PDP. I'm a PDP member and also an aide to Atiku Abubakar.
Thank you for highlighting that. Thank you. All right, let's get into the conversation this morning. I'm just going to read something else here. It says that the ASP, a statutory panel within the council, is tasked with ensuring that advertisements adhere to the prevailing laws of the Federation and the Code of Ethics for Advertising Professionals. I wonder, how exactly, I don't know if you have further insight as to how these adverts, these billboards, were not adhering to the prevailing laws of the Federation, and if you can maybe shine some light on that.
Well, I'm as surprised as you about whatever law they are quoting. I think the onus is now on them to enlighten the public about whatever laws that those billboards may have breached. Like I said, I'm not aware of where those billboards emanated from, but I agree with the message as a Nigerian and as somebody who participated and voted in the last election. I wholeheartedly agree with the substance of that message. We hope that, in the coming weeks that they will be able to explain which parts of the laws are being breached. The truth is that in Nigeria, there are plethora of laws that are a carryover from the military regimes that, and they might be able to find one or two where they will put this under. But we must never forget the fact that we are in a democracy, and it is up to all of us to safeguard democracy. And as people like Bola Tinubu himself used to say back in the days of Nadepo, the eternal vigilance is the watchword of democracy. Eternal vigilance is the watchword of democracy. So nobody should ordinarily be afraid when we say eyes on the judiciary or eyes on the legislature or eyes on the executive. In fact, one of the political parties in Nigeria, the National Conscience Party, has as its slogan, "Shine your eyes." So basically everyone should be interested, especially when the matter, the subject of litigation in this instance, are the millions, are the hundreds of electoral cases, all across the entire federation. And I don't know if you remember, but just yesterday, about 2 days ago, a leading newspaper in Nigeria reported a story about a judge in the Kano State Tribunal matter, warning the senior advocate of Nigeria and saying that they were trying to bribe her on the ongoing electoral litigation. So how do these things come to the public ear, if the eyes of the people are not on the judiciary? So I think, it is important that eyes continue to be on the judiciary, and especially that of the media, which is the watchdog of society.
All right, Demola, we're going to get back to you. Let's bring in Emeka Obasi, to also share his thoughts on this conversation. Mr. Obasi, can you hear us? Mr. Obasi, can you confirm if you can hear us clearly? All right, we're trying to, connect. While we're trying to get that connection going good, Demola, I'm going to come back to you. I want to know, and maybe play a little bit of devil's advocate here. I've also seen, and I want to know if you would understand where the narrative is coming from, or where the perspective of all eyes on the judiciary being, incitive somehow, some way. I'm sure you've also seen, or you must have heard of Twitter accounts that have posted pictures of the family members, the children of some of the judges, in the election petitions tribunal. I have seen one or two of such. And of course, I've completely condemned it every time that I came across it. But when those things come up, and they come with the hashtag all eyes on the judiciary, all eyes on the election petitions, tribunal judges, doesn't that give red flags that maybe these hashtags and these conversations are geared towards scaring these judges into giving a certain judgment, and of course and the family members of these judges? It doesn't don't Do you see it that way?
Well, first of all, I think we have to establish that those things are condemnable. Whoever is posting pictures of the families of judges, I think it's indecent, it's in bad taste, it's wrong. It's morally reprehensible. You don't. I mean, even in war situations, people consider families to be no-go areas. I think it is vile. I think it is condemnable, and it stands condemned. Having said that, I think that the judiciary itself is built to withstand such things, is built to withstand such pressures, especially from the public. There have been a lot of high-profile cases in Nigeria. There have been, I mean, even right now, we have Nnamdi Kanu, the supreme leader of IPOB, just, the proscribed IPOB. He's on trial. But, the judge in his case is expected to deliver justice regardless of any threats, regardless of anything. So, in the context of history, citizens have really been able to put pressure on the judiciary to do contrary to the law. Okay, in the history of democracy, anywhere in the world, citizens have really been able. Such things do not face these judges. Judges kind of anticipate it, because you are called to adjudicate on matters. I mean, some matters may even be more personal than I mean, imagine a judge who is supposed to deal with a matter of rape, for instance, or a matter of murder of one's personal loved ones. They will be under different kinds of pressure, from the victim in that case, to deliver judgment in a particular way. But that has never swayed judges. What they have always followed most times is on the issue of the law. However, what usually sways judges and what has the tendency to sway judges is always, always, always the executive arm of government. All over the world, in the US, in the few instances that you have, in banana republics all over the world, and even in Nigeria, what you have had most of the time is that government itself is the one that puts pressure on judges. And how do they do this? We saw two instances under the Muhammadu Buhari regime. We saw for the first time in the history of Nigeria, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onnoghen, was removed from office by a code of conduct tribunal. Many have pointed out the legality of that action, but it stood because it was the executive arm of government. Because that the executive are the ones who control the finances of the judiciary. Again, under the last regime, we saw instances where the homes of various judges were invaded by DSS. So those attempts of intimidation. In a nutshell, what I'm saying is that citizens sometimes go overboard in the things they do. Those things stand condemned as they've been done, but citizens are not usually able to change the mind of the judiciary. What can change the mind of the judiciary is usually the executive arm of government, and in this case, we hope that with all eyes on the judiciary, that judgment will be delivered in line with electoral justice and electoral laws.
All right, thank you very much for that. We have Emeka Obasi from the Labour Party who's joined us very quickly. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Obasi. You've heard the conversation so far. Several reasons have been given for the disbandment of this panel. Do you agree with it? One of these would be that this matter is jus pendis and as such is not subject to public debates or advertisements of any sort. So are you in support of this? Do you think that they were fair, that the government was fair in disbanding this panel?
Thank you for having me. Of course, we are practicing democracy, and we have a right. Every indigenous has a right to freedom of speech and freedom of expression. So the word is there. All eyes on democracy. Or rather, all eyes on the judiciary. What in that phrase or slogan, or any sentence in that slogan, which one of them is sub judice or whatever? Which one of them is out of sync with the democratic setting? I mean, it's terrible that we are at this stage and at a time where the Nigerian-led ECOWAS is trying to stop a military coup in Niger Republic, the next level. We are here being, forced to a dictatorial type of governance to the people. It is simply all eyes on every Nigerian eye should be on the democracy. I mean, on the judiciary now, because they hold the key to our future, whether to uphold, whether to return, whether to cancel, whether to gives us another president. All eyes on the democracy, and that's all. Nobody said all eyes on the democracy to deliver PDP or to deliver APC or to deliver Labour or to deliver anybody. They just all eyes on democracy. Very simple message, straight and direct for the people, even though the people in power, even the government in power, all their eyes on the democracy to deliver. So what's the essence of trying to stop who don't be boss, suspend people from ASP, AFCON, and do all this and say no more for that? But one thing the Nigerian government, this particular government should know is these youths doing this, these youths championing for a new Nigeria, these youths that want a change in their lifestyle, in the lifestyle of the country, of every method of operating this country that put us in the mess that we are now, all the youths, they are the same blood, they are of the same ages, with these military heads, juntas taking over all places in Africa. But in Nigeria, these young class are civil enough, democratic enough to follow law and order. The simple message of all eyes on democracy is being from nowhere clamped down as a threat. For goodness sake, what else will somebody do? If you are not in arms, you are not destroying any property, you are not rioting in any manner, like the way they disrupted NSAS 2 or 3 years ago, it hadn't happened. Simple message, all eyes on democracy.
All right, Mr. Obasi.
All and the outcome is to pull everything down. You see, I call it that it is based on the guilty being afraid.
All right.
This government is afraid of their own shadow.
We unfortunately would have to, end the conversation here. We're out of time on Breakfast Central this morning. We would see how things develop in the next couple of days, and we would like to, of course, have you join us again. Demola Olarinwaju, thanks also for your time yesterday and for today also. We appreciate it, as always. Thanks for stopping by.